Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the build-up show. I am Paul Machin, Steve Plunkett and John Machin join us for this one. As we count down to Steven Gerrard's long-awaited return. I say long-awaited unless you went to any of those like charity games or Legends games or whatever that he's played. He's been back at Anfield a lot of times, or went to the the academy games when he was the manager, etc., etc., etc. Look, we've got to start there, really, Dad. Gerrard coming back to Anfield is massive. Him being back in the Premier League is massive. And I know there's this whole notion of this is hopefully his progression towards being the next Liverpool manager. How much of that do you think sort of clouds this game to any extent?
I think it clouds it for the fans, doesn't it? I mean, there's so much adoration of Gerrard and so many people who actually think he's got to come in and be the next manager, which I don't agree with. But, that's what... There is just that sense of it amongst the fans, and so they're all keen and desperate. And you just have to look on social media. They're all... I mean, they don't know where to turn.
Yeah.
Do they want him to win because it's Steven Gerrard, or do they want us to win? Oh, it's got to be a draw then, hasn't it? It's just nonsense.
Yeah.
You've just got to go out there and wipe the floor with him. He's got to learn somewhere, hasn't he?
Well, that's exactly it. And this is the thing. I think there's a lot being put on this from we can act this up for comical value and all that, but there is a point where we can batter them and actually not have any sort of impact on whether he is or isn't a good enough person to take over the Liverpool job in 2 or more years or whatever. So we kind of need to just put it all to one side. It's almost irrelevant.
Totally. Swept away in the romance of who he is and what he means to the club, and get him on board sooner rather than later as a manager. I totally agree with John in regards that it might not be right for him in 2024. There might be somebody else in between, but it's not Aston Villa is not a definite rite of passage to the Liverpool job. We need to put the sentiment to bed. We've got 3 points to win. Yes, he's our favourite son and we love him to bits and we'll be glad to see him there.
Yeah.
But do the business side of it first. I said to you off air, I'd rather we sung about him at the end of the game, and we've done what we need to do and we've got the 3 points. But for the youngsters, for the younger fans, they only know Steven Gerrard as like Mr. Liverpool, so it's easy to see why social media has gone mad.
Yeah. No, and that is understandable, isn't it? We've never really had this situation, have we? I suppose the closest is Souness.
Kenny came back.
Well, but Kenny
came back with Blackburn, and they if they beat us, they would definitely win the title.
Yeah.
And we still beat them anyway.
Yeah.
And they still won the title. So it's all irrelevant. You've just got to go. I mean, Steven Gerrard won't think for 2 seconds about stabbing us by beating us.
Yeah.
He'll be desperate to win.
Yeah.
Not because he's coming back to Liverpool, but because he's driven to be a good manager. So.
And the problem he's got, though, is he's kind of made this bed for himself, because he signals his intention. He wants to be Liverpool manager. He's made no bones about it. And look, I mean, to the point last year, though, he was very clear that he doesn't want Jurgen Klopp's job, but he'll take a job down the line that's coming for him.
Who in their right mind would want to follow Klopp?
I know.
It's like trying to follow Ferguson. It was just a poison chalice.
Mm-hmm. But someone had to follow Shankly, and someone had to follow Paisley, and someone had to follow Fagan.
The best for them, probably the best for us, is just to do it internally, and then slowly but surely you change to a different person altogether. I mean, because whoever comes in will want to change, because they'll want to put their own stamp on it. They won't want it to be Klopp's side. That's what happened with Souness. Yeah. He came in and changed everything, and he did it too quickly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where because this could be like Gary McAllister's redemption story we're stealing here. Like, he gets his coaching job under Brendan Rodgers, then has it stolen away from him within months. Now, the thing about this thing is that there's a tension on this because of the way Gerrard has spoken previously. He sees Liverpool as his destination. He actually doesn't really. I don't think. I mean, and look, this might change as he's been a manager now and he's on to his second club. He might decide that he's actually just got the football manager bug, and he might just go off and be a manager for the rest of his working days, but never get to Liverpool for whatever reason. But he's off. He said everything he does is preparation to get to the Liverpool. So it's actually no surprise that there's a load of fans and whatever who are totally hyped for this, who will be forensically analysing everything Gerrard does, because they see it as a it's the natural progression, it's an inevitability, and that's again, Gerrard is responsible for this all being hyped up, so he's going to have to take whatever comes with that.
Well, he's saying all the right things, isn't he? At the right times. He's very media friendly, very good in front of the cameras.
It's just funny because he never used to be.
He never used to be. That media training's done him the world of good, hasn't it? But we would like him to get to that position. If he doesn't, he doesn't. He has said several times in interviews that at some point in his managerial career, that's the sort of coup de grace for him. It doesn't get any better than that. That's what he's aiming for. It might take 10 years to get there. He will be totally and 100% committed to Aston Villa because that is the way the man is, and you have to admire that. He will come there with a job to do for Aston Villa. The Liverpool thing will be, for him, a little bit of a sideshow. It'll be a bit surreal, but it will still be a sideshow. He will come there for the points, and you have to admire that, and that's part of the makeup of the man that makes him the winner and the successful guy that he is. And, I'm sure between now and game time, Twitter and social media is going to get even worse in terms of speculation and the Gerrard loving, and it's great because that's ideally what we'd all like to happen at the end.
It's just a weird situation because it'll be a bit awkward for him because and it's just I don't want us to be too fawning over this because I think he deserves a tremendous reception when he comes to Anfield. Absolutely. But I don't want, and we were discussing this, I don't want a where we're singing his name during the game because be arsed, to the point. Sing it before, and if we want,
sing it when we're beating them.
He's right, that's true. Yeah.
But you see, the thing is as well that he's made a good job so far of Villa.
Yeah.
He only just got beat by City. I know they probably on the pitch they were well outplayed, but the scoreline was pretty respectable.
Yeah.
And he's won his other games, and a couple of games they've been playing badly, and he's turned them round at half time with a good half time team talk. And he won't want to be getting beat 4-0 by us. But that's always a possibility when you come and play Liverpool.
Yeah.
So he's going to be desperate. He's not going to be focused on Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
He's going to be desperate to get a decent result.
Yeah. And again, it all feeds into the same thing, doesn't it? Because the Villa's his priority. Villa's there. Whether that's because he knows that he needs to make a success of Villa in order to progress his chances of being Liverpool manager is irrelevant. He still needs to have that success. He still needs to manage them correctly. And you're right, we've got the results under Gerrard so far up on the screen. Obviously, he comes in after the defeat to Southampton, 2-0 win over Brighton, beats Crystal Palace away 2-1 defeat at home to City, and it was actually the Leicester one last weekend, which I thought was quite interesting because it was a wild game of football, and the fact that he comes out and I don't think it necessarily. I think Leicester are a bit of a shambles, aren't they? Yeah. They're a bit of a mad team at the moment, but it actually was a nice marker laid down, I thought, for him, because it would have been great if he'd taken something off City, because I think we were all kind of hoping that, Agent Gerrard going and doing the business. But his ambitions will be to make them what Leicester have been over the last few years. Yeah. So it was actually interesting to kind of see him go up against, again, another former Liverpool manager, another one who's been talked up for big jobs at the moment, and go and get that result. Again, it bodes very well for what he's done so far.
Totally, and the Leicester game is interesting. You're right, they've been a bit of a shambles, certainly defensively, and they don't appear to have the old Brendan Rodgers problem of not having a plan B when things aren't going well. Gerrard sets his teams up with a very conscious style of football, and he knows what he wants. He's gone into Villa, you're right, he's done a great job. As soon as the man walks into the training ground, he commands respect because of what he did as a player, and there'll be the likes of John McGinn will step up and meet that challenge of being managed by Ste Gerrard. So he's done a great job, but he's 4 games in, and we're 2.5 years away from that initial conversation as to who's next.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of football between now and then, and he'll go through bad periods. And I'm more interested to see how he handles when things don't go well rather than when things are going well, because that's the measure of the man, isn't it?
He's got an awful lot of credit out of that game against Leicester, more so than his players, because they didn't play particularly well in the first half.
Yeah.
And everyone has said, well, he turned it round. They came out like, they were so hungry in the second half, and if you watch the game, they were just awesome. They were just fighting for everything and really putting pressure on, and all that was given credit to Ste Gerrard.
Yeah.
So he's in his career, he's doing really well up to now, but as you say, if things go wrong, then where's he going,
Yeah, you're right, though. I think that's a great point in terms of a lot of things can happen. That's how it feels like when you look at, because it feels like the last 2 years have been both the longest 2 years and the quickest 2 years in the history of, humanity. But it's funny, it was one of those random things how I was, because you do, like checking Facebook memories or whatever and looking back at something from 3 years ago, back to 2018 and thinking, God, 3 years ago, like we hadn't won the European Cup, we hadn't won the league, we hadn't won the Club World Cup, we hadn't won all those things. Like 3 years feels like nothing ago, and yet, Liverpool could have amassed a bunch more trophies in there. Gerrard could have had all kinds of stuff happen to him. Anything could have happened to Jurgen Klopp in that time period. It's not something to be worried about now, but it is I think it's a nice taster just to see Gerrard, just to be interested to see him on the touchline, actually to get to watch how he conducts himself in the flesh, get an idea of what he can do with Villa. Because I think the one thing we do know, Dad, is that they'll go out and you'll see a very committed Aston Villa side. He demands the controlled aggression that I think we all like to see. So that's the one thing that we'll definitely see from that game, is that Villa should come and match us for effort, if nothing else.
Absolutely. I mean, and what's happened up to now with Gerrard, unless we're 3-0 up at half time, then the game isn't over. If it's 2-0, they're going to be in the game in the second half. That's what he does. He gets them back up, and he adds another 20% to their energy. So it's going to be a hell of a game. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just out of interest.
It's interesting in Gerrard that I would have expected him to be a tracksuit manager, wearing a tracksuit for games and being very hands-on on the training ground. But by all accounts, he's very much the manager. He's old-fashioned in that way. Yeah, it's really interesting.
There's definitely. I mean, I did enjoy the old Rangers training clips where he was clearly the best player in training. Still, he will undoubtedly have those moments, and you see him on the training ground. But I think you're right. I think the way he's realised he needs to create an aura, and when you are the tracksuit manager, sometimes you can be seen as one of the lads, and I think he wants to maintain that like standoffish thing, so he's got a bit of a buffer between himself and everyone around him. I think
he said recently that he gave up too early. And now I never thought he gave up too early. I thought he gave up at the right time. Yeah. But he must have gone to Scotland and thought, I could have played here for the 10 years.
Totally, yeah. I think you're right. He probably did give up at the right time. I think it does have this aura about him. He's trying to create this aura. He demands an awful lot. You said before about this aggressive style of play, and I watched recently a snippet talking to Carragher, and he said every team he's ever going to manage is going to be aggressive. And why won't they be? Because he was exactly that. Yeah. He dragged players up around him by his intensity and his aggression, and he will expect the same. And as I said before, I think John McGinn will be loving having him as a manager, because John McGinn's a useful footballer. If he can add that intensity and that aggression to his game, he's a threat. Yeah. And Gerrard knows exactly what he wants, and I think that's the thing that comes across in all of the interviews. He knows what he wants. The question is, can he get there?
Yeah, absolutely. And we just looking at the team that they started against Leicester, Ollie Watkins, we know what damage he can cause, having experienced that firsthand last season. Emi Buendia as well seems to be starting to get a bit of a tune out of him. There's a chance Danny Ings will be back for this one, albeit an outside one. No Leon Bailey, which is good. He hasn't quite settled, particularly because of injuries just yet. But we know they've certainly got players that can hurt us, just in terms of where they're sitting in the Premier League so far. So we've got them up to 10th at the moment, just a point behind Brighton, 2 behind Wolves, and 4 behind Arsenal, up in 7th. So it does look like if they don't start and get some more results, I think those European places will slip away pretty quickly.
It'd be interesting to see. I don't know where they are in the form table, but they must be pretty high up, I would have thought.
That is great, and if I had that to hand, I would absolutely put that up for you right now. I'll see if I can draw out the conversation long enough while I find that. Premier League.
This is it 4 wins out of 5 or something like that he's got, so that's pretty good going.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just the table. Premier League form
He's
table.
He's had manager bounce, hasn't he?
Yeah, keep going. There we go. We've got the form table. Well done. Top of the form table currently, Manchester City 2nd, Liverpool 3rd, Spurs, albeit they haven't played a lot of games and won't play again, I think, because of a COVID outbreak this weekend. Villa 4th in the form table.
That's good. Is that 2 defeats they've got in there? The first one probably wasn't Gerrard.
is now. So there you go. Hopefully we'll just knock that L off the back and add a new one onto the front end, so they'll kind of keep net the same hopefully by the end of the weekend. But yeah, they're in better form than Chelsea, and obviously high flying West Ham at the moment, which is an interesting point and certainly one to keep an eye out for. Right, we are going to take a very, very short break. We've got a trivia question to keep you going in the meantime. If you're in the live chat, get your answers in there right now. The trivia question is, who was the last player to be bought from, and who was the last player to be sold to Aston Villa, involving Liverpool? Just to clarify that. Get your answers in, and we'll be back after this short break. Hey everyone, it's time for the Ultimate Fan update. What is Ultimate Fan, you ask? Well, allow me to answer. It is the completely free-to-play app that you can get by clicking the link in the description underneath. It combines the amazing fun feature of opening weekly packs and getting Premier League players there, from a rating of down from greyed out all the way up to gold, some of the best players on the planet, and then you put them into a team, and what you do with them, you select your best players and you earn weekly fantasy football points, and if you get enough fantasy football points, you win money and prizes. Lovely stuff. I've won before. It's great. It's a wonderful feeling. It shows that I know a bit about footy. Helps. We've also now got a Redmen League as well. How did I get on last time around? I got 18 points, which kind of goes against my initial point of saying that I know what I'm doing. I came 64th in my own league. Ewan Evans, 23, came top with a massive 86 points. Big shout out to Kebab Rap Chris, Manny 29, Tucker Nos, Vigor, Part 1, Jordan, Dunty, Sean Ash 92, and LFC Dude 23, and Ryan Casey because he got 57 points as well. And yeah, look at all these people who took part. Good to see our league growing. It's only been going a couple of weeks and you can get involved with that. I'll put the code up on the screen for you right now. All you do is make sure your app is updated. Click on the little add button in the corner of the screen, and then you get in, put that details in, and then you're in the Redmen League, and then you get bragging rights when you finish above me, like everyone all the way down to Sean.16 did. You know who hasn't got bragging rights? Espanstead 89, sorry Si. DJ Carlisle, no bragging rights for you. And Smitty, and all the way down to bottom place Inverness Red, who got just 1 point, no bragging rights for you. In fact, I am 18 times better at this game than you are. Can I match or even improve that feat this week? Let's find out. There's £5,000 worth of prizes to be played for this week, and I am going to go and pick my team in order to do that. So, my plan of late has been to jinx Chelsea by loading my team with Chelsea players. So, thank you very much, me. The reason Chelsea have dropped points is because I have loaded my team with Chelsea players. I've stuck with Diogo Jota, I've stuck with Sadio Mane, Golden Boot and captain in that regard as well. Kev De Bruyne is back in though, and I will bring Kevin De Bruyne in because he's Kevin De Bruyne. I know he played midweek, but I'm going to make a change and I'm going to bring him into this side. I'm going to take out N'Golo Kante for him. I'm going to stick with Reece James and Rudiger, and I'm going to stick with Chelsea because I want to stick with that hope, that we jinx it all. So that's minimal changes for me. That is the team I'm going to go for. That is the team you're going to be up against in the Redmen League this week. Do get involved. It is good fun. Just click the link in the description underneath, or we put links out on social media, etc. Click them. That makes them know that you've come through via us, which makes us look good, which is great. But it's a perfect way to kill some time and win some money for nothing. And there is an additional feature if you want to get a greater chance of gold packs, and you can go for UF Plus, but you don't need to. It is completely free to play to build your squad. And look, a couple of minutes to be killed before games happen or after games, and again bragging rights over the Redmen TV team. What more could you ask for? Anyway, that is your Ultimate Fan update. Good luck this week, and yeah, and check back to see if you could get above me in the Redmen League on the next build-up show next week. There you go. If you want a chance to be praised by or absolutely slaughtered by me, join Ultimate Fan. Use the link, click, download, join up. If you played Redmen Picks with us last season, then your account will actually still work on that as well. So you just log in using that one when you get the app, get your packs. You get 10 players in your first starter pack to have a little mooch through and see if you can do better than me in the Redmen League. And then, again, take your kudos or your insults. That's the chances you take. The trivia question before we left was, who was the last player Liverpool bought from Villa, and who was the last player Liverpool sold to Aston Villa? Any guesses?
It escaped me.
No, I can only remember older players who swapped clubs. But
the most recent player that we signed from Aston Villa, we paid £32.5 million for. Christian Benteke. And another forward that we sent out that way back in 2005. But I think he's only just retired.
Barros.
Milan Barros, well done.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just needed a prompt from you, Paul, that's all.
It's all up there.
It is, yeah.
It's all up there.
Just got to tap into
Just need
it.
to shovel the snow off the pathways, like, yeah. Yeah, great. Some mad names we've said that. In fact, we've sent Steve Staunton to them twice, which is one of note. And the other two players that we've bought from there, Stuart Downing prior to that, 18.5, and Steve McMahon all the way back in 85.
Steve McMahon obviously played for Everton, but they didn't want to make the jump straight to Anfield, so went to Villa, and we bought him from Villa.
There you go.
They paid him a load of money to go to Villa in terms of salary as well, didn't they?
Really?
They really upped his salary from Everton, yeah.
Fantastic, and there you go. The rest, as they say, is history. Right, before we crack on with the show, we have got another of our wonderful Advent calendar prize draws to do. I'm just going to pass these down the way, by the way, gents. Dad, you take that one, and Steve, you take that one. I need you to be my models for these in a moment. So, yes, we have got our Club Legend subscription tier on Redmen Plus. If you are a Club Legend, you are entered into our Advent calendar prize draws every single day from the 1st to the 25th of December. The prizes are there, and they get better with each and every day. We've given away one of every single one of our Christmas sweatshirts. That's easy for me to say. We give away a signed Michael Owen medal this week already, and today's prize is what you've got right there. Dad, do you want to just show that to the camera? It is a box of sick socks. In fact, if you just open that lid up, you can give people a little look at what we've got going inside. They are Liverpool themed socks. You can see them here. There's Klopp ones, there's the, well done, brilliant, there's the yellow and red pinstripe ones, and there's ones themed after the 1990 home shirt as well. So a pack of 3 Liverpool themed socks. Look at that, there you go. Jürgen Norbert Klopp ones. So get the red, I'll get the pinstripe ones out there, because I know you're a big fan of that. You're a big fan of the Liverpool away kit from the mid 80s there, the Kenny. Right, yeah, there, you have to fight me dad for them out of his pocket. That is today's prize. We'll come to tomorrow's prize in a moment, but we're going to do this draw live. Once I make sure I've got the wheel up. We've got the wheel of names. Every single one of our Club Legend subscribers is on this wheel. I'm going to click it now, and then, guys, if you can give me a drum roll. Ooh, never take a breath big enough for this. Ooh. Hey, Josh _Kelso. Let's give him a round of applause. Well done, Josh. You are the winner of some sick socks. Well done, Dad. Ross will be sorting it out with them. He'll be in touch in due course as well. If you want to become a Club Legend, you get your name in the end of the credits, by the way, of the YouTube shows.
They may be sick, but it's not COVID.
No, exactly.
So
it needs to be perfectly clear. You will not get sick from wearing these socks, but they are still sick socks. The prize tomorrow, if you wouldn't mind, it is a copy of Mona Nema, Liverpool's head of nutrition. If you just open the front cover of that, it is in fact signed by Mona Nema as well. So that is tomorrow's prize. So if you go to theredmentv.com, there's 2 tiers there. Club Captain gets you access to all of the content, the documentaries, features, pre and post match content, the instant match reaction that goes out live an hour after full time of every Liverpool game. Obviously the Jordan Henderson 10 Years Red documentary series and a whole host more is there. You get that. But if you become a Club Legend, you are entered into these competitions, but you also get access to our Club Legend Discord chat, which is currently trundling away nicely in the background behind this show. Thank you so much to all those guys. You get discounts off merch, you get free Redmen merch as well, and yeah, there are loads of other little features and bonus things as well. But yes, we are leading up to Christmas Day. I'm just going to see if I can get this up so I can show it to you. In talking of the pinstripe, we have got a signed Kenny Dalglish shirt, which is up for grabs on the 25th of Christmas Day. We're going to be giving away that pinstripe yellow and red Liverpool away shirt signed by King Kenny Dalglish. There's a signed Jordan Henderson print. There's loads of other bits and pieces as well. So make sure if you join up now, and you still got tons of prizes that you can win anyway. Steve, is it a simple case as just going back to the 11 that we played last week, do you think, or now that we've got some more options? Because looking at our injury list, it's almost non-existent now. Firmino might be back, although it's possibly still a little bit too soon to start. Elliott will be out until the new year, definitely. Yeah. Jones probably the same. But other than that, Naby got minutes in the week. Milner's back from his European suspension. Yeah. There's going to be lads knocking on the door.
Yeah, totally. I'd go strong. I'd go with the side that's done well in recent weeks. I think I've mentioned McGinn a couple of times. We're going to need to get hold of the middle of the park, and our strongest three in the middle of the park is Henderson, Fabinho, and Thiago. Clearly at the moment, and Thiago's doing a little bit more in a more advanced role on that at the minute. So I want to see more of that. Yeah. So I wouldn't introduce any of the lads who played in Milan. They played in Milan for a reason. No discredit to them. They did a marvellous job, and 6 out of 6 is unique, isn't it? Yeah. So, but I would go back to what we know is tried and tested, and what we know what is going to be a difficult game, as you've already alluded to. The tried and tested midfield, we know, gets control of games and allows a platform for our front three to do what they're doing.
It's hard to see really a world where unless you're starting to manage the squad a bit and do. What our best 11 is pretty much, don't you? And it's pretty much the team that played last week, with arguably Firmino or Jota interchangeable in that, Dad. It's hard to make a case for a game where that isn't suited to Fabinho, Thiago and Henderson in midfield. So then the only way I think you're not playing that team is if you decide, well, I'm going to play one of them for 30 minutes in this game, maybe like it's Thiago gets a bit more. I don't know. That's the only. But that's the only situation.
He played that midfield twice, hasn't he? And he said when asked about would you going to rotate for Europe, he said, "Well, the medical people would kill me if I played the side again," which sort of implied that he'd play them whenever he had a chance. So I fully expect him to play that midfield. And the forward line picks itself at the moment because Bobby probably will, if he's fit, will be on the bench. And there are plenty of times for him to and probably he'll have to rotate as the Christmas comes on. There's going to be so many games flying in. Yeah. And I think at the moment the rotation's going to be late in games, isn't it? Milner almost certainly will get on, late in the game this time round. Catered as well, probably. Yeah. Other than that, the team's going to be pretty steady, I would have thought.
We've managed it so well, Steve. To that point, not only because we were going to rotate heavily regardless, but the fact that we've gone away rotating, as you mentioned, just gone and got the 100% record there in the Champions League, giving some great time, great experience to some young kids. We've played almost our entire squad into form, which is insane. It's almost unheard of. So the good thing is I don't think I would be concerned. I wouldn't bat an eyelid if you told me Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain starting this game. And even if you said, like, Origi starting this game, I think most of us would go, okay, well, there's a good reason behind all these things.
And, let's say, Oxlade-Chamberlain had a really good game in midweek, so he does deserve a place.
He does.
But he's not one of our first choice middle three, I don't think. I think he's fourth at the moment.
Yeah. You can make an argument to say, can Oxlade-Chamberlain give you control of centre midfield in the way that the other three can if you bring him in there? I think against Brighton we were a bit lightweight in the midfield and they had a definite plan and they exploited that. Yeah. So I think you're right, he's playing really, really well. It's really nice to see following that real bad injury. It's nice to see him playing himself back into some form because we all had big expectations for him, didn't we? But you're right, we've managed the squad really, really well. I think what our fan base needs to do is recognise that if Klopp's happy with the squad, we should be. Yeah. There doesn't need to be this furore every time.
I can't bang in this drum. Like, there's anyone who thinks we haven't got squad depth, I think it is based on the fact that we've got a lot of lads who will spend a fair amount of time in and out of the side through injuries, which is perfect, which is correct, by the way. We have got quite a lot of those sorts of players. But in terms of the overall, on paper, quality of the and the depth of the squad, we've never had a deeper squad in the history of the football club. No. And there is no side, I think, in the world that's got the level of quality that Liverpool have, proven quality and established quality, in terms of being integrated and knowing what the side is. So you're right, if Klopp's clearly happy and he's not fronting, he's not putting up a smokescreen of protection for the ownership.
What's interesting as well this week is some fans are starting to realise that we've actually been much more progressive without Wijnaldum. Yeah. We're scoring far more goals without him in the side. Yeah. And that's something that initially fans were not picking up. They were just picking up that we didn't actually replace him directly. Yeah. But then no one thought Harvey Elliott was going to start the season, and Curtis Jones maybe was not going to get.
And also we're at a point now where we've had midfield injuries. We've coped splendidly in those throughout those situations. And now we're in a world where, let's say Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago start. Oxlade, as we mentioned, Oxlade-Chamberlain would feel rightly like he deserves a few minutes. Milner is absolutely floating around in that regard. Naby Keita needs to play games. Naby Keita was in this midfield. He starts the season in this midfield.
How is he going to get injured if he doesn't play?
He'll find a way, Dad. But he always does. But to the point, we've got 6 senior football options there for this, and all of who are going to need games to play, minutes to play if we want to keep them fit. And that's not counting like Tyler Morton's all of a sudden made himself an option in there as well.
And you look at the back, we've now got Tsimikas. No one would bat an eyelid if he played as left back. Yeah. Canate had a fabulous game the other night. No one would worry about him. Gomez, is back. And, at his best, Gomez is as good as any. Yeah. Apart from Van Dijk, and no one's as good as him.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but no, it's a good point. So I do wonder, just looking ahead at Liverpool's fixtures, that I wonder whether we might adopt a little bit of, continue this sort of process that we've been on, where we go as strong as possible for Villa at the weekend. You've got Newcastle on the Thursday to follow, and obviously they finally got a win, a win under Eddie Howe. So they'll be slightly more ignited, but there's a real lack of quality in that side. That even if they come with a good game plan and a load of endeavour, they're going to struggle to get anything out of us. So I wonder whether that's a game where you rotate 3 or 4 for the Thursday, which then gives you. Tottenham he's going to want the side that started last week to start against Tottenham, totally. And so this is probably part of that process where we might see the same team again, see it at the weekend, and then make sure that it's ready for
Agreed. And if you match our midfield up against Newcastle's, you actually could afford to play Ox, Keita, and one other,
Milner.
Yeah, Milner, because are we going to control the game in there? There's a good chance we will. You're quite right. Spurs are on this journey now under Conte, where he's making it more difficult to beat. He's asking a lot of them in terms of distance covered, intensity, and that aggression that we've spoken about with Aston Villa. So you would want your strongest team in those 2 fixtures, certainly against Spurs. So yeah, I think Newcastle.
Tottenham obviously now it might be different because of the COVID thing. And most of their clubs gone down with COVID, and you don't know how long that's going to take to work its way through.
Yeah, that's an interesting point actually. But just in terms of how this kind of follows through, you've then got the League Cup quarter-final with Leicester that follows after Spurs, which you would imagine there'll be heavy rotation for the game, which then allows you to go strong again against Leeds on Boxing Day, and then you're in the graft of Leicester-Chelsea immediately. Follow that.
The Leicester Cup game's interesting because of where Leicester are in terms of league form. That might be their only route back into Europe next season. Mm-hmm. So I don't expect Leicester to rotate for that game. I think they've got to go strong because their league form's indifference, and that's being kind.
And he might find himself, Brendan, in a little bit of bother if
he's under pressure.
Yeah. And for us, though, the League Cup has done what it needs to do. It's given us extra games to play for the backup lads up until Christmas, and the FA Cup will take over in January.
And I think Jürgen will approach that, not to get too far ahead down the calendar, with Villa still to come long before any of this happens, of course, but he will go with a similar team that's played the Porto game, that's played the AC Milan game, and if they're good enough to get to the semis, then he'll largely trust them to do the same job. Obviously, that you're then into a world of without Salah and Mane, can you get over the line in those kind of games, particularly if they get to a 2-legged semi-final with them at AFCON, but he'll cross that bridge when he gets there. But to the point for this game, I would expect strong again, rotated for Newcastle, strong for Spurs, rotate for Leicester, strong for Leeds, and then see who's left standing and see what the situation is with regards to AFCON.
It's got to be strong for Chelsea. That's the
exactly.
big deal.
Yeah, 100% in that one, I agree. We had a super chat come in from Ashley Frith. Thank you so much to Ashley. Just want to say a massive thank you for all your work. It's really nice, thanks Ashley. Says, out of topic question, Bowen in the summer, am I the only one that feels he could be the next Jota? It's funny, isn't it, that the Jarrod Bowen's performance against Chelsea, was it last weekend, I think opened a lot of people's eyes, because we were even having a conversation about, Chris posed this question on the show yesterday, where do we play, like who plays where in our front three with no Salah and Mane, and we're very short another guy to play on that right hand side, because it's Elliott or Kate Gordon. Elliott's injured and Kate Gordon's a child. You could see all of a sudden where a Jarrod Bowen would fit into a Liverpool squad.
And he's a totally a Klopp-type player. I mean, we know we don't buy players for the sake of buying players. It's all about player profiling.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at his runs, his recovery, when and if he makes those runs, and that will all be factored into some analysis.
Yeah.
And Klopp has already suggested he likes him, so don't be surprised if we do make a move for him, and if he buys him, then we back him, and I'm fine with that.
I could see, you could see quite easily now how well he would fit in with the Liverpool side. Right, let's have a little look at the Premier League fixtures going to be happening this weekend. Friday night sees Brentford, Watford, Man City host Wolves in the early kickoff on the Saturday. I have very little hope at the moment of anyone taking points off City, but at the same time, we also know it's entirely possible, which is the weird dichotomy of Manchester City, really, isn't it, Dad? And I don't know whether this is a situation where Wolves, having come so close to getting something from us, stands them in decent stead. Having not had a midweek game, they'll have had a chance to analyse what they did. Do they maybe take that in? Adama Traore tends to play better against them than us.
They're as bad as City, you don't know, do you? I mean, you can get a great Wolves or a bad Wolves.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they've been playing well recently. And I always think that if you can keep City quiet for half an hour or maybe even the full first half, you're in with a shot.
Yeah.
Because they start to go round in circles, and lose ideas.
Yeah.
So, and Wolves are quite steady for that in that way. They're quite solid, and they've got Traore to give them those breaks, which have frightened the life out of teams. Even he's not going to score at the end of it.
I think that's a good point. I think that's the thing, isn't it? That's your hope with Man City, is if you can keep them on for half an hour. If you're not dead and buried, I should say, in the first 15 minutes, yeah, you've got a chance.
You've got to be brave against City. If you leave men up high and wide, like Chelsea did in the Champions League final, the intelligent runs of Werner absolutely were a problem for City. A Traore gives you that, but he runs in straight lines, and he's not particularly an intelligent runner. He's just quick, and he gets in behind you. The issue for me with City would be that they had a poor performance in Europe, a 3-3 draw away. The defeat away is not ideal for them, and Guardiola will be annoyed by that, and we will see a response. So it would be totally a City thing to go and win that one 5-0. But credit to Wolves against Liverpool. I thought they were really well organised. They dug in, they defended marvellously, and it took the first touch from Salah to get the space to free Origi's ridiculous. But Wolves are an organised side, and they will make life difficult. And if they can release runners in behind City and stop City engaging the centre-backs with the midfield, then they don't control the game in the way that they would want to. So it's possible, but we're clutching a bit, aren't we?
We always say hope, not expectation, when it comes to Manchester City. But it'd be nice to have that. But
every now and again, they do come a cropper, don't they? Palace go there occasionally and cause them trouble. Leicester do.
And I say Wolves are giving them good games. Adama Traore does tend to have good games against them. Chelsea host Leeds. It's a year ago I'd be going, that's a good opportunity for Leeds to do this. Now, Chelsea and City, though, are in a similar sort of vein here, aren't they? Where disappointment in midweek, they're hitting a little tricky run of form. I was listening to the Totally Football podcast, and I think it was that anyway. They were talking about why people had made Chelsea such sort of favourites for the Premier League, when even Tuchel was saying, really, our aim is to get in the top 4. Now, you could say that's him just playing things down. Of course he's going to do that. But I think the next couple of weeks in the build-up to our game against them, Dad, is going to tell whether that's true or not. Are Chelsea genuine title contenders? Because I think there's every chance that game is either Chelsea's opportunity to go above us and put some distance, like put 3 points between us, or it could be the game where we absolutely bury their chances, and it could be like a 7-odd point gap between us and them by the end of that game.
Yeah, I mean the way they started the season, I'm obviously given a lot of confidence by being champions of Europe. They looked like they were going to be unbeatable. They didn't lose games. They scored goals. Suddenly that's dried up. They're struggling to score goals, even against ordinary opposition. So they've hit their bad patch, and most teams do get one, don't they?
Yeah.
Unless it's City. And it depends how long that lasts.
I always think that, because you can't take away the European Cup from them, but I find, and it's definitely going to help being winners. We saw what it did to Liverpool, being able to carry that into a title challenge off the back of it. there's an interesting situation there where they might have won it too soon, which sounds stupid, but I think you know what I mean by that is in their life cycle and their development to won the biggest prize in football when you're not yet the best team in football leaves you a high bar that you've set for yourself. And it's a bit like, you know, like those it's like you get the longest drive of your career, but it's because there's like a massive wind behind you, and all of a sudden you're not able to reach the heights that you reached previously. I think it's going to be a really interesting one for Chelsea, and a real testing one to see are they that good. Yeah, my feeling is I think they'll be there or thereabouts, but my deep gut feeling is I don't think they're at Liverpool and City's level. And I look at last year, and I think they a bit like Leicester winning the league, they capitalised on a lot of what was going on around football. Totally. Look, they beat City, you can't take that away from them. I mean, City is serious.
So they don't concede goals, that's their big plus.
Yeah.
And if you're in a bit of a trough, then Leeds would be a lovely side to play, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't expect much from Leeds, to be honest, even in this.
Yeah.
It's a question of whether that gives them the recovery they need, or whether that'll just be a little blip on their way. You know.
Yeah. It'll be a physical exertion, regardless.
And they've got questions to answer, because even their own fans are looking at their form now, saying we should be getting results here. And you're quite right; they did take advantage of a difficult time for the football, and they come out the champions of Europe, and you're quite right. You know, are they ready to be put up there as genuine title contenders? I just
wonder, because you look at the way that season went last year, and we'll never know, because it's just like we went through the darkest timeline last year, the darkest alternate reality, the one where someone generally comes back from the future to warn you off. If this was the X-Men, the fact that they get Real Madrid who knocked us out on the way, you know, and you just think that in another world, Liverpool, a stronger Liverpool, just dispatch Real Madrid, probably go through Chelsea and end up with City in the final, and you're thinking this is Liverpool all day long here. I don't know, you know, I wonder whether they are maybe being overhyped, but look, also they're not, because they're European champions and they've been top of the league. But that's my hope anyway. Let's all live in the hope. In terms of the other fixtures doing the rounds this weekend, Arsenal, Southampton, whatever, Norwich versus Man United would be genuinely hilarious if United were to drop points there. You know, the new manager bounce come to an end pretty soon. Burnley, West Ham, the battle of the Clarets. Leicester, Newcastle. And again, hilarious if Newcastle got something there. Brighton, Tottenham has been postponed due to a COVID outbreak, as mentioned, at Tottenham Hotspur. And Crystal Palace, Everton. That's
pretty rubbish week, isn't it? Really, for fixtures.
The Palace Everton one's tasty though, isn't it? You know, when you consider that, obviously I haven't got the result against Arsenal.
Well, it says a lot, doesn't it? If the tastiest game in the week is, apart from us, is Crystal Palace Everton.
Well, it's mad. They must be saving us up, because we've had a lot of 3 o'clocks lately, and obviously we've had quite a few games where we're playing at 3 o'clock at the same time as Chelsea or City as well. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like, there are if we do this sometimes, there are plenty of fans of other football teams who enjoy watching their football teams on telly too. We have become a bit spoiled, I guess, with this over the years. But you're right, it's a pretty bang average weekend of fixtures. Other than that, anyway, let's actually, just in terms of this, we don't know as yet. In terms of Liverpool fitness and how many of the lads who were not taken, if any of them were taken because of a genuine injury issue, or whether they were just rested to make sure they were 100% ready for the weekend. We'll know that in due course, and Chris will be doing the starting 11 a little bit later on, hopefully have a slightly clearer idea. Let's do score prediction though. That's Liverpool, Aston Villa.
3-1 to us.
Okay, Sting.
I'm in agreement. 3-1.
3-1 sound. 2-0. I think it might be more, but I'll take a 2. I think 2-0 is reasonable, because we win comfortably. It's a solid. They give a good account of themselves, but we just win. Gerrard gets to keep his head held high and all that kind of stuff, and everyone has a great day. And hopefully City and Chelsea drop points as well, and that would just be magic. Because again, at this point, I don't care how we win. Just that we win. Right, loads more to come from us this week, both that has already been recorded and live streamed, and to come later on in the week. We did the final words, which you can check out from AC Milan, and of course going back to the weekend as well. There was the debate show yesterday where we delved into who Liverpool's ideal Champions League opponents we would like to be, which of course we've got a slightly clearer idea on now. And what was the best season for Liverpool kits? That was a good fun one as well. I've got Journo insight coming from Neil Jones a little bit later on today. So goals, Neil Jones in the studio with me, taking questions from our club legends to find out what's going on. We're going to be talking about the future of Nat Phillips. We're going to talk about those Jude Bellingham links that seem to be gathering pace for Liverpool to make a move in the summer, and a little bit maybe about the potential rumoured fixture changes for AFCON. So yeah, do go and check that out. Chris has got a stat show to come as well, and next week's another one with Andrew Beasley as well, which will be outstanding. And don't forget, we've got a two-part special coming out at Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the 50 greatest Liverpool players of the Premier League era as voted for by you. So perfect time to join Redmen Plus. Go to the redmentv.com and sign up, and as mentioned, if you become a club legend on there, you'll be entered into tomorrow's prize draw for the signed Mona Nema nutrition book as well. Right, gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be back with the watch along and more post-match content from Villa as well on YouTube, so do check that out, and we'll see you there. Everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you want more from us, then please do consider joining Redmen Plus, our Liverpool streaming service, with extra shows, bonus features, interviews, and incredible documentaries like Netflix for Liverpool fans. We've got the club captain and the club legends here. If you join as a club legend, you get your name in this wonderful list here. Look at them wonderful legends. Anyway, Redmen Plus on the redmentv.com. Join up.